Okay, so customizations is the topic that we're going to talk today. Customization will cover, basically the options of customizing the application using drag and drop tools, okay, or declarative methods. So we can do basic customizations on the application, like changing the page layout, or maybe the way the interface looks, or the way we interact with the interface. So these are very basic customizations which can be easily done because these are drag and drop options, right? And see, everything is customization. When you go into programming also, that is also customization. This is going to be the simple customization, and using programming you can do more complex ones. So that is something which will come later. First of all, let us understand these basic customizations here. Alright. So first thing which we'll talk about in the customization section is list views, creating list views. Okay. When you click on any tab, you might have noticed that there is an option of list which appears there. For standard object as well as custom object, there is an option of list which comes. Okay. So list view basically allows us to view a list of records, as the name says, list view. So it allows us to see a list of records, and we have that option of defining which list we want to see or what kind of a filter we want to put at there on that list. For example, if you want to create a list of all the records which were created in last 2 days, let's say you are the sales representative, and every day you come to office, you want to open the system, you just want to go ahead and see the list of records which were created in last 2 days so that you can start calling. So yeah, so what you can do is you can create a specific kind of a list view and say that, okay, fine, show me all the records which were created in last 2 days, and that list will show you those records, right? So this is the first thing that you can do here. You can create new list views to see a specific set of records, so you can define what set of records you want to see in the list view. Create a list view of accounts in your state, an example. Okay, so just create a list of accounts from your state, or leads with a specific lead source if you want to create a list of all the leads from any given lead source, or opportunities above a particular amount. So if you want to create a list of all the opportunities which are more than, let's say, 100,000 in amount, so that sort of thing. So create and edit views. How do we create views? Let's see how to create views. Just before you see how to create it, let's see where do we find the list views. So we get to see the list views when we click on any tab, any standard or custom object tab. When you click on that, you will get to see the list views. Yeah, here it is. So when you click on any of the tabs, you get to see the views. Okay, click on campaigns, click on contacts, opportunities, accounts. So whichever tab you click on, you will get to see the views. Fine. So this view is for the records from that particular object. Now you will see that there are some of the views which are already there, so you can select any of these views, or you can just go and create your own view, right? So either you pick any of the view and click on edit if you want to modify them, or you simply click on create new view. Okay, so let's say I want to create a list of all the records from a particular industry. Let's say all the records from a given industry. So I just go and click on create new view. Just give it a name and a unique name. Okay, specify filter criteria. Do you want to include all accounts in the list or my accounts? So it means, do you want to see everyone's records, or you just want to include your records? My accounts means the accounts which I own. Okay, so let it be all accounts. Put the filter here, industry equals energy, and what all fields you want to see on the list view. So these are all the available fields. Whatever you want to see, you just have to put them in this side. That's a number of employees. Fine. So this is the list view concept. So you can just go edit. See, this is the view we have created, energy industry accounts. This is added here. Got this thing? So this is how you can create list view. So this is the first thing that we had to discuss. Then customize, you can create these views. So this will help the end users look into the records that they want to see. Okay. This is a basic kind of customization of the user interface, a very basic level, but similar kind of things you will do with Visualforce also when we go to Visualforce. Okay. So if we understand the list views, now the next thing is customize your tabs. So customizing tabs, this is pretty simple option. It's all about customizing the tabs that you want to see. So you see there are a lot of tabs there. If a user does not want to see all those tabs, he wants to see limited number of tabs, then what the user can do. For example, your profile allows you to see 12 tabs, but out of those 12 you just use 3 or 4. In the same profile again, people might be using different tabs on their day-to-day basis. So you don't want to see that long list of tabs available. So for that reason, what you can do your personal, go and change your personal setting and change the tabs, or customize the tab settings for yourself. Specify which tabs display when you log in, or if you have multiple apps, which tabs display in each app, right? So it's pretty simple. For doing this, you just have to go, this is kind of my settings that you have to go into, because this is for you yourself, because you cannot change the tabs for other users. Okay, you can just change the tabs for yourself. See, one control is with the system administrator, that what all tabs he has allowed to your profile. That is one thing. Out of whatever is allowed to you, what do you want to see, that is something which you can customize, or in which order you want to see the tabs, that you can go and reorganize. So for that, you will go to my settings. Under my settings there is display and layout, so just click on display and layout, and then you have to click on customize my tabs. So this is your personal setting, and this will not affect anyone else, because this is under my settings, right? Whatever you see under my settings is going to affect you only. It's not going to affect everyone in the organization, right? See, now there are so many tabs selected. If you just want to see 3 or 4 tabs, you can just go and remove all these tabs from here. So then only these tabs will be available to you. Okay. You also have the option of selecting different apps and putting different tabs under the different under each app. Got it? Like for sales, which tabs you want to see, for PMS, which tabs you want to see, and all. Right? Will not change it for sales. Let me change it for PMS. So for PMS, you can just see projects tab here right now, right? If you want to include other tabs also, bring in. Okay, so earlier there was only projects tab. Now I have added 3 more tabs there. Just go ahead and click on save. Now go to the PMS application. Alright, so this customizing tabs will allow you to select which tabs you want to see and in which order. Similarly, we have another thing which is called customizing your pages. Customizing page means specify which related list you want to display for objects. Okay. So using customize my pages, you can specify what related list you want to see on a page. What is a related list? List of child records. Alright. So usually we have the record details. Let me show you. What is a related list? When you click on any record, for example, you click on an account. So once you click on a record, what do you see? You get to see the details of that record, and after the details of the record, you start getting the details of the child records, right? The contacts, the opportunities, the cases, the open activities, everything, right? These are all called a related list. The list of child record, like this is a related list, this is a related list, cases is a related list, right? So this is called related list of related child records. Now the point is that there are so many related lists, like see, contacts, opportunities, cases, open activities, notes and attachment partner. There can be more. Let's say there is an object which is connected to multiple child objects, and so there can be a lot of related lists here. Now the point is that if you don't want to see all the related list on your page, because for a few reasons, one, your page can become very long and it might become difficult for you to navigate through things. For example, you just want to use cases, but here it displays contacts, opportunities, everything, and you don't want to see all those things because you work only on cases. Okay, then you can remove the other related list. This is also going to be your personal setting. Okay, so what you have to do, you just have to go to setup, and then under setup you have to go and not setup, sorry, my settings. Under my settings you have to go to display and layout, and then click on customize my pages and select whatever you want to select. Let me change it for account only, as we discussed about account. So for whichever object you want to customize, just click on accounts, click on customize page. So if you don't want to see opportunities under it and contacts, remove them. You can remove everything else as well. Just cases I have left, and I'll click on save. Now if you go and click on accounts and try to see the account, now you will not get to see the other related list, right? This is also a personal setting. It is not going to affect anyone else. This is under my settings, right? So this will not affect anyone, just you. Okay, just set it back to the original thing. Alright. Now the next thing that we are going to talk about is page layout. Okay, so far whatever we have talked is all personal setting. Okay, now we'll talk about page layout. Page layout is what the layout of the page, and this is something which is controlled by the administrator, and page layout is associated to your profile. So this is not for your personal thing. This is something which is actually associated to the profile. So normally what happens is all the users from one profile have one page layout, right? And who defines or who designs the page layout? Administrator can design it. You cannot go and change your page layout as an end user. Alright. So every object that you see in Salesforce, everything has a page layout. Okay. Like account has page layout, and there can be multiple page layouts also for some objects. If the administrator decides to give different page layout to different profiles, as I said, page layout is associated to the profile. So if the administrator decides to give different page layouts to different profiles, he can easily do that. Control the layout and organization of detail and edit pages. Control which fields. So page layout basically controls the layout and organization of detail and edit pages. So the page where you see the record or a page on which you edit the record. Page layout helps you edit the layout of those pages. Control which fields. So what page layout controls is this. Which fields should be displayed on your page, on the detail page, right? Detail pages, when you click on a record, the page opens up with the details of the record. That is the detail page. So on that, what all fields you want to see, what all related list you want to see or you want to display to your users. Custom link users, see. Okay, the custom links that you will get to see. So custom links is not that important here. Now the page layout control which standard and custom buttons display. So not just the fields and related list, the buttons that you see, na, edit, save, that kind of. So what all standard and custom buttons will be displayed on the page, that also can be controlled through page layout. Okay, let's say for a given profile you just want to remove that delete button so that they cannot delete that. So that option is also there. Control through page layout. Determine whether fields are visible, read only or required on detail and edit pages only. So you can also determine if you want to make some fields visible or read only or required kind of thing. Fine. So this is what we can control on a page layout. So page layout will basically help you control the layout of the page, any page. It can be any object, any page, and you can put things like the fields that you want to see, the fields that you want to see, the related list, the buttons, and you can also control which fields are visible only and which fields are read only and which are required, which means mandatory fields. So those things can be controlled from page layout. So let's see how to create a page layout. To create a page layout, this is a setup option. Now, this is not my settings because this is something which an administrator would do usually. Someone with an admin right will do. Individual users cannot go and change the page layout. Fine, because the page layout is same for the entire profile. So you just have to go to the setup, customize, select an object or record type and click page layout. So for whichever object you want to define the page layout, I'll just go to that and show you. For example, if you want to change the page layout for opportunities, then you should go to setup, customize, opportunities, opportunity product, page layout. For custom objects, so that was for standard object. For standard object, you will go to setup and customize. For custom object, you will go to setup, create, right? Because the objects are listed under create. So you will go to setup, create objects, and then you will select the object, page layout and all. Alright. So go to setup. Okay, let's control the page layout of this object, projects. In the project object, if you click on a new record, what do you see? All the fields are being displayed in the left hand side, right? There is no field which comes in the right hand side. There is a new object that we have created. Sorry, yeah. Here it is, projects object. Now there is this new object that we have created, projects. In this, what we see, all the fields by default have come to the left hand side. Now what you have to understand, you don't have to always go and create a page layout for an object. By default, Salesforce creates a page layout. Whenever you create an object, by default one page layout is created for that object and it is assigned to all the users. Okay. So to show you an example, we created an object here called projects, right? So if you go to this object, scroll down a little, you will see there is a page layout which is already created for it, project layout. So no one created this, but this is already there. So whenever you create an object, by default one page layout is created for it. You always have the option of adding more, or you can always go and edit this page layout. Got it? So the default page layout, what we see that the fields appear on one single column. I want one or two fields to come this side, on the right hand side. So this is completely blank here. So let's go and edit the page layout. Click on edit. Here is the page layout editor. This is your page layout. If you see all the fields in this side, you just have to move the fields the way you want. Fine, let's say you want to display the page layout like this. Just drag and drop the fields wherever you want to put the fields. Which field should be in the left hand side, which one should be in the right hand side. If you don't want some fields to be displayed, remove them. So all these things can be controlled through the page layout. Right. Then if you see these buttons also, standard buttons and custom buttons, as I said, if you don't want the delete button to appear on the page layout. Remove the delete button. If you don't want to give the clone button, remove it. If you want to give the sharing button, remove it. Got this? So you also have the option of making certain fields mandatory. Let's say this subcategory or category field. This is not a required field. Required means a mandatory field. By default it's not a required field. If you want, you can just make it required from the page layout. So you can just go to this field, click on properties, and you can make it a required field. Now it is a required field. Okay, if you want to remove some field, just remove it from the page layout. Right. Now the thing is that if you make any changes on the page layout, that is something which will affect the users in that profile. Currently I just have one page layout, and this page layout is available to all the users. If you just have one, then what will happen? Everyone in the organization will see that page layout. But if you want, you can have different page layouts for different users. For example, there is a certain profile for which you don't want them to have the delete option. So just create a page layout for them, remove the delete button from there. Or if there is a certain user for which you do not want to, for the whom you want to remove a start date field, to just go to the page layout, remove it from here, right? So all these things, whatever you are doing, making removing the delete button or removing a particular field, these things we could have done in the profile also, right? Do you think the same thing can be done on the profile? For example, just small question for you, quick questions for you all. You are working in a team, you are the administrator or developer, okay? There is a profile called sales team. Let's say there is a profile of sales team and there are certain users there. I tell you that, okay, I don't want the sales team people in the sales team profile to delete records, to delete account records. Okay. So what will be your approach? How will you do that? Scenario is clear. You are the administrator. There is the sales team and there is a profile for the sales team. I tell you that people from sales team should not be able to delete account records. Let's say, let me make it more specific. They should not be allowed to delete accounts. How will you do that? What will be your approach? 30 seconds for thinking and then answer. The scenario is clear with everyone? You want me to repeat the scenario? It's a very simple scenario. We have learned a lot about profiles, permission sets and security access in last few sessions. So please tell me what will be your approach. Anyone who wants to answer? No answer, no clues. What will you do? There's a profile called sales team profile and we want to restrict the delete access for that profile from the accounts object. So what will be the approach that you will take? That there is a sales profile which we have here. I tell you that okay, the sales profile should not be allowed to delete accounts. No, you have removed this delete option from here. Now what this option will do, this will not restrict the sales profile users from deleting accounts. So that's absolutely fine. Good thing. Now the point is, if I give you a little more complex requirement, I change my requirement. I tell you that, see, they should not be allowed to delete accounts from the, they should not be allowed to delete accounts from the interface or from this application, but they should be allowed to delete accounts from the backend, that is using the data loader or mass delete. That should be allowed. Got those things? I tell you, they should not be allowed to delete accounts one by one, but mass delete should be permitted. They should be allowed to delete through data loader or the mass delete option that we have under data management. Now what will you do? Same profile, but I have given two requirements for that. I say the sales profile should be allowed to delete the records from the backend, but they should not be allowed to go ahead and delete a single record. Now the problem is, if you turn off this delete option here in the profile, then what will happen? This delete option, turning it off here, will restrict the users from deleting the accounts from here, from the interface, which means It will restrict the user from deleting the accounts from the interface, one single account, as well as from the backend. Correct? So restricting anything on the profile will affect the complete profile, right? So users from that profile will not be able to delete accounts anywhere, neither from the backend, neither from the data loader, nor from the interface. Alright. So if you have the second kind of requirement where you have been asked that the user should not be able to delete a single record, but he should be allowed to make deletes through data loader, in that case you will not change the profile. Let the profile have the delete access. Okay. Then what you will do, you will rather go and remove the delete button. So delete access is there, but remove the delete button from here. In that case, what will happen? The user cannot delete because the delete button is not there. But he can delete from the backend, because for deleting from the backend, he does not need the delete button. Correct? So that is the simple logic. So page layout actually allows you to do certain things where you have these kind of requirements, that the user needs to do something through the interface, or does not or should not do something through the interface, but he should be allowed to do those operations from the backend. In that case, you use page layout for these kind of things. Like now, if I remove the delete button, now it does not have a delete button. What will this guy do? So this is, I think, for project. I am talking on accounts here, but anything for any object, right? Now his profile allows him to delete, but I have not given the delete button to him on the page. Got that? So this is how you will control things. Same concept is applicable for making fields required here. So when I am making a field required, the same question. If there is a field and I ask you that I want this field to be required, what will you do? While creating the field, there is an option called required, right? This I am hoping everyone knows. So while you create a field, when you add a field, you see an attribute called required, always required. So that if you select that required option, then what happens? That field becomes a mandatory field. For example, this account name is a required field. So what do we see? We see this kind of a red mark beside the required fields, right? So this is a required field. Now for our projects, let's see which all are the required fields. Project name is the required field. Alright. There no other field is required, which means we have not made these fields required while creating the field. Now, if you have to make the field required, you again have two options. Either you go to the field attribute and make it required, or you go and make it required from the page layout. Either you go to the setup create object fields, click on edit field and make it required. That is one option. The other option is you make it required from the page layout. What is the difference again? The same difference. If you make a field required in the field attribute, then it will become a universally required field, which means if you are entering the data from the page, or you are entering the data from the backend or through data loader, every time you have to supply value to that. But if you don't want that thing to happen, in case you just want the field to be required when someone is making a single entry, okay, let's say category and subcategory, or start date, whatever, let's say start date. You want the end user to enter the start date when he is entering record one by one. But if there is a bulk record upload which is happening, at that time you just don't want the start date to be compulsory. You just want to make it optional. So if you go and make a field required at the field level, so for the field attribute, if you make it required, then it will be always required, no matter you are entering from the page or you are entering from the backend. But if you have that second kind of requirement, the field should only be required when the user is entering record manually one by one. Then you just have to go and make the field required from the page layout. So now category I have made required from the page layout, right? If I click on save here, now you see category is not required, but now it will become required. See, it has become required, but this is required only on the page layout. Alright, so whatever you do on the page layout, whatever functionalities you add on the page layout are applicable or enforced only when the user is trying to enter or edit or delete the data from the page layout, not when the user is trying to modify do some data management from the back end or from the data loader. So that time these your page layout attributes will not work. Got it? Are we clear on this? Please tell me if you have any questions on this.